Hello everyone, welcome to the True Paranormal. Today's article discussion is going to be about Robert the Doll. I had intended on doing this article discussion last Wednesday, but unfortunately Facebook went down at 6 o'clock, which was the time that I was about to live stream. So I forgot to do it until now with the Robert the Doll on here. I did do it over on TikTok. But yeah, so the actual article itself. Thank you for anyone who has read the article. This is kind of going to act as, a narration of that article. It's just me reading it out to you now. So Robert the Doll is said to be the most haunted doll in the world. He was created in Germany during 1904, and as the doll's legend has grown, many falsehoods and variations of its story have emerged. These pieces of false information seem to be regarding a 10-year-old girl who was allegedly tormented by the doll, and the detail that it was this doll which inspired the Child's Play horror film franchise with Chucky the doll. After having a couple of different owners, Robert now resides in a museum and receives many letters. These letters are from fans of Robert, and they are also from people who feel they've been cursed by him and so want his forgiveness. The story of Robert the Doll starts in Germany when he was created during the early 1900s. I found that the doll was made in Drengen, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, I don't know German names, by the Steiff Company during 1904, but the 1904 date may only be speculation based on when the doll was gifted to its first owner. The Steiff Company is the same toy maker that first made a teddy bear in honor of Theodore Roosevelt. Its founder was Margaret Steiff, and she created many of the company's early dolls before she died during 1909. As this particular design of doll is rare, there is a good chance that she was directly involved in this doll's creation. It's believed that this doll was not intended as a toy, but rather as part of a set which was made for a window display containing clowns and jesters. It's believed that on the 25th of October 1904, a boy called Robert Eugene Otto was gifted this doll as a gift from his grandfather who had visited Germany. There is seemingly false information saying the year was 1903 and that Otto was 8 years old at the time. The vast majority of sources all agree that the year was 1904 and that this gift was given to Otto for his 4th birthday. Despite the boy's first name being Robert, most people called him Gene, a shortened version of his middle name. There is a contradiction regarding how Otto obtained the doll. Personally, I believe the truth is that it was a gift from his grandfather. However, there is a particular tale of it being given to him by a young servant girl who was believed to have been of Bahamian descent. This servant worked for Otto's parents in his house. Some sources make it seem like this doll was a gift from this servant to Otto, but others make it seem like the servant was caught with the doll, which had already been given to Otto as a gift. Apparently, the locals believe that the servant cursed the doll and gave it to Otto as a gift, with this action being a retaliation for a wrongdoing. Apparently, Otto's parents didn't treat the servant girl well, and so this is why she cursed the doll. While I don't know if there's any truth regarding the sinister motives, I have found that the servant seemingly did exist, as I found a name for her, Emmeline Abbott. Regarding the doll itself, it's made of fabric and it's stuffed with straw. It's been said to stand at 40 inches tall, which is around 3 foot tall. It's been speculated that the doll's hair is real human hair, but this is apparently not the case. The doll's hair is made from a synthetic material resembling wool yarn. The doll has painted features, wears a sailor's outfit, and holds a teddy bear of a dog, which is called Leo. The sailor suit the doll wears was not supplied by the Steiff Company, and it's been thought that the sailor suit was likely an outfit which Otto wore as a child. There are speculations that the suit was pre-owned by another child. The name of the doll, Robert, comes directly from Otto. As the boy loved the doll so much, he named it after himself. There is a bit of mixed information when it comes to what happened between Otto getting the doll and it eventually being given to a museum. Otto's house was the Key West Inn, a location which was built between 1890 and 1898, and which has become known as the Artist House. Its address is 534 Eaton Street, Key West, Florida. Apparently, Otto built the doll its own room in the attic, which had furniture, toys, and he gave the doll its dog. I don't know how true this is, as other sources make it seem like the attic was a location Otto would lock the doll away in due to other people disliking the doll. One such story is that his aunt disliked the doll, banished it to the attic, and then died the same night. The true legend of Robert the Doll, regarding its haunted reputation, really begins when Otto began blaming the doll for any misfortunes as he grew older. It's been said that it was Otto himself who created these misfortunes, and this is something I will discuss later with my thoughts. Eventually, the doll took the blame for anything bad which occurred in Otto's life. When Otto was 10 years old, apparently he woke up to find the doll sitting at the end of his bed staring at him. A few moments later, his mum was woken up by the sounds of him screaming for help, along with the sounds of furniture being overturned in his room. When she investigated, she found his room a mess and the doll sitting at the end of Otto's bed, with Otto curled up in fear on the bed. It's said he told his mum Robert did it, and this is what he would say whenever something like this happened. Apparently, Otto's parents would hear their son talking to the doll upstairs, and they would hear a response in a completely different voice, which has been described as deep. It's been said the servants even began to quit their jobs. People reported seeing the doll speak, and they saw its facial expression change according to the conversation in the room. Giggling and sightings of the doll running up and down the stairs have also been reported, as has the doll being seen staring out of the upstairs window. It's also been said that the doll could move from one side of a room to the other. I'm not sure if these reports all occurred when Otto was a child, if they occurred when he was older, or if they occurred under the next owner of the doll. When Otto grew older, he studied at the Academy of Fine Arts in Chicago and at the Art Student League in New York. He went to the Parisian Sorbonne, and this is where he met the woman who would become his wife, Annette Parker, also known as Anne. In his life, Otto would be a prominent artist in Key West. He designed the art gallery, which is at the Fort East Martella Museum. During 1930, Otto returned to his childhood home with Anne following the deaths of his parents. Apparently, this is the time period when he decided to make a room for the doll, and Anne wanted Otto to lock the doll in the attic. It's been said that it's during this time period that visitors heard footsteps in the attic, and that with a software update, so I'm going to read that little bit again. During 1930, Otto returned to his childhood home with Anne following the deaths of his parents. Apparently, this is the time period when he decided to make a room for the doll, and Anne wanted Otto to lock the doll in the attic. It's been said that it's during this time period that visitors heard footsteps in the attic, and that they heard sounds of someone pacing back and forth along what has been described as devilish giggling. There are accounts of the doll mocking school children from the window as they walked to school, and apparently they said they would look up and see the doll move from one side of a window to the other. It's been said that Otto would often escape to the turret suite as the light was better for painting and that the doll was always present. This leads me to wonder if the turret suite is the attic sources have mentioned, especially as apparently the doll would spend its days propped up against the southwest window of the turret suite. The story continues by saying that when Otto investigated the claims of the doll not being seen from outside in a room other than the attic, he found the doll sitting in a rocking chair by a window in his upstairs bedroom, not the attic where the doll had been left. This led to the doll being locked in the attic multiple times, but Otto kept finding him sitting by the window in the upstairs bedroom. It's also been said that Otto propped the doll against a window of the house, and that the doll requested the turret suite as it wanted a room with a view of the street. Apparently, Anne hated the doll, and after Otto died of Parkinson's on the 24th of June 1974, she demanded that the doll stayed locked in the attic inside a cedar chest. There is a bit more contradiction around this time period. For instance, it's been said that Otto died during 1972, but also that he died during 1974. It's also been said that Anne died 2 years after Otto, which could mean the 1974 date is hers. However, it does seem Otto did die on the 24th of June 1974, and Anne later died during the January of 1979 from pancreatic cancer. Further confusion surrounds what happened to the ownership of the house and doll following Otto's death. It's been said that the doll was found and donated to the Key West Art and Historical Society many years after Anne's death, but it seems the doll was never lost. One story says a new owner moved into the house with a 10-year-old girl, and this girl found the doll in the attic. She claimed it was alive and that it wanted to harm her. Apparently the girl, like Otto, would wake up in the middle of the night screaming and told her parents that the doll moved around the room. However, I have found that a 10-year-old girl never lived in the house, and so this story is false. I have found 2 names in regards to who owned the house after Anne. One is Myrtle Reuter and the other is William Geyser. I don't know if these two have a connection to one another, as I have found reference to William and Myrtle Reuter. One source has said Anne sold the house to William Geyser, but another said Myrtle Reuter bought the house following Otto's death in 1974. It said that Myrtle was the doll's new caretaker after buying the house, and that she claimed the doll moved around the house on its own. Apparently, she sold the house and moved to Von Pfister Street during the 1980s, and she took the doll with her. This sale could have been to William Geyser, but this is just speculation. Sources have also said that Myrtle believed the doll contained the spirit of a child. The doll was finally donated to the East Martello Museum by Myrtle during 1994, where the doll is currently on display with its dog. When originally donated, the doll was not put on display. They accepted the donation, but they kept the doll in a back room covered by a sheet. This changed when David L. Sloan, who would become the fourth doll tender, became involved in the doll's story. David had heard the story of the doll from Darrell Meyer, who owned the B&B where the doll once lived. Following this, David arranged a meeting with the Key West Curiosity, and the curator, Stacey Rosso, took the doll out of storage. David, like Myrtle, also believes that the doll contains the spirit of a child. Specifically, the child is thought to be the daughter of the servant Emmeline Abbott. David calls her Abby to honour her family name. There has been speculation that the doll itself may not be haunted, but it may actually be the sailor suit that is. People have speculated that the suit is haunted by a boy who died of yellow fever. David also collaborates with the museum for tours and investigations. People have reported their cameras becoming inoperable when trying to take photos of the doll, and they find their cameras work again only when leaving the museum. Staff have reported seeing the doll's face change, seeing its hand against the glass, and they've apparently heard demonic giggles. Robert the doll has been said to cause car accidents, broken bones, job loss, and divorce. The case the doll currently resides in was apparently donated to the museum by a fan of Robert's. Robert the doll has inspired multiple horror films, and it's been said that some of these films are the Child's Play franchise. This is incorrect though, as Chucky was based on the My Buddy doll and the Cabbage Patch Kids. The story of Robert the doll has inspired the 2015 British horror film Robert, which was written and directed by Andrew Jones, and its sequels. The sequels are The Curse of Robert the Doll, released during 2016, The Toy Maker, released during 2017, and The Revenge of Robert the Doll, released during 2018. It's been said that you'll be cursed by looking at a photo of Robert the Doll on the internet, but this is not true. Apparently, asking for permission from the doll can be dangerous, as there are protective spirits around the doll which protect the little girl. It is a false belief that the doll doesn't like having its photo taken, and that you have to ask permission first. However, apparently there was a tour guide who had an image of the doll tattooed on his arm, on their arm, and they died shortly after. While living in the museum, Robert the doll's popularity has grown to the point where you can buy replicas along with books, coasters, and t-shirts regarding the doll. People send sweets, money, and occasionally joints to the doll. The museum calls this inappropriate, as there's still a museum regardless of the doll's fame. People also send emails and letters. The doll receives 1 to 3 letters a day, and these are often apologies for disrespecting the doll. Other letters ask for advice or to hex those who have wronged the writer. The museum keeps and catalogues all of the letters. You can read a few of them below. I'll read them out to you, as you can't read them on the video. April 22nd, 2022. Dear Robert, I came to visit you last spring, 2021. I was so excited to finally come to see you in person. I came alone, and there was no one else in the area of the museum that day, so I was able to talk to you quietly alone. I read the letters that were framed inside your case and was so impressed that you were addressed by the President of the United States. You sure are a popular boy. I had told you that I had travelled such a long way to see you. I came all the way from Michigan. I had seen and heard so much about you that I couldn't wait to finally meet you. I remember telling you how handsome you were. I have the utmost respect for you and always have. During my visit, I did ask if it was okay to take pictures of only the area and objects around you, and that I promised I wouldn't take any of you. If for some reason any reflections happened to appear in any photo of you, I would not ever intentionally try to get them. I reviewed the pictures and never did see you in any of my photos. I respect your privacy. I was so impressed with the area and how the museum has designed your room with multiple letters and even a board to leave messages on for you. I don't know if my visit upset you, as it was never meant to be. I even bought a small stuffed replica of you from the gift shop to take home because I think you are so handsome. Since my visit to Key West, I have experienced some very horrible events. I just hope they are not connected in any way to my visit, but if they are, please accept my humblest apologies for anything that may have offended you during my time there. I have such respect for you that I would never purposefully do anything to offend you, so please accept my apologies. You're an amazing boy, and I am happy to have been able to meet you in person. Admirably yours, Tracy S. from Waterford, MI. And the next one reads, Dear Robert, I accidentally took footage of you. I am sorry, I should have asked permission. I will delete the video ASAP. I hope you can forgive me. That's by an unknown person. Another says, My husband and I visited the museum December of 2019. My husband took your picture without asking. When we were leaving the museum, as I was going through the door, I felt a shock go across my shoulders. In January 2020, I was diagnosed with a severe illness and have not been well since. Things keep going wrong for me. I want to say we are sorry we took your picture without asking. Please forgive us. That's by Kathy C. And then the next letter reads, Dear Robert, I hope you are well. Me and my family went to visit you last year. I am sorry I was startled to see you and did not intend to disrespect you. Our lives have been upside down this year. Please forgive me during my visit. Thank you and take care. And that's by Brian K. Then the next letter is from the 4th of September 2023 and reads, Dear Robert the Doll, my name is Katie and my fiancé and I visited you at the museum in early 2022. We visited and learned about your story and we deeply apologise if we have disrespected you in any way. I sincerely apologise for coming into your space without asking permission. We never intended to offend you and I am very sorry if we have. We have been experiencing bad luck ever since, such as me having cancer and financial issues, and wanted to apologise for any disrespect and hope that you can accept our apologies. Thank you, Katie. And then the next one reads, I am writing to apologise for my attitude and behaviour towards you in the past. I belittled, demeaned and ridiculed you and have accepted the consequences that you have rendered on my friends and me. It is time to make amends and I ask you to accept my sincerest apology. That one's by Carol. Then the next one reads, Dear Robert, about 11 years ago I visited you and I made the worst mistake of my life. I thought it would be funny to take your picture without your permission. Boy, was I wrong. So much bad has happened in my life and I know it's because I disrespected you and I'm so sorry I did that. I really hope you can forgive me, Robert. Sincerely, Andrea. P.S. I saw you on Zach Bagans' show. You were great. And then the next one reads, Dear Robert, I would like to start off by apologising to you for being rude and taking your picture without having your permission. When I initially asked you for permission and almost immediately started having chest pains, I should have known that it wasn't okay to take your picture. Again, I am truly sorry for not listening to you. Since visiting you about 3 years ago, my house has been struck by lightning 3 times. Also, a rental home I was scheduled to vacation at caught fire the night before I was to check in. 2 nights later, the rental home we were able to stay at was struck by lightning as well. Beginning with the flight home from Key West, after visiting you, my wife and I have begun to have problems with our flying. Our problem is that anytime we fly somewhere together, one of our flights will be delayed. This has happened at least 4 times now. Also, our luggage has been destroyed once as well. I am very sorry for disrespecting you. Sincerely, Eric D. And the next one reads, I came to visit you with my grandmother, aunt and cousin this past September. It's understood that you must ask for your permission before taking your picture, which was done so accordingly, both by my grandmother and aunt, although I believe that the seriousness in respecting you and your wishes wasn't taken all that serious while visiting. I have had a series of very unfortunate events since meeting you, which again, like I mentioned, is due to lack of respect when addressing you. I want to apologise if I offended you in any sort of way when I came to visit. It was not at all my intention. That one's by Cameron. And then the next one reads, there's still a couple more. The next one reads, Dear Robert, I just wanted to apologise for taking a photo before I asked permission. I must not have heard the instructions correctly before I photographed you. Since our meeting, I have suffered a series of heartbreaking misfortune. Please forgive me. Again, please accept my sincerest apologies, and if you see fit to forgive and end the bad luck, I would appreciate it. as would my family. Thank you. Your friend and admirer, James. And then that's it for the letters. And yeah, so Corey Convertito, Robert's caretaker in the museum, takes him out of the case once a year and weighs him to see if his body's been affected by the climate. She also reads all of Robert's emails and letters, plus runs his social media accounts. Sometimes she replies on Robert's behalf regarding if Corey thinks Robert is haunted. She has said the following: I don't know. I really don't. I've never had a bad experience with him. I've never felt uncomfortable. It's always been a very basic relationship, and I have a job to do, and I go and do it. And whether there's something to it or not, he just allows me to get on with my job. And in the My Thoughts section at the end of the article, I wrote, personally, I believe Robert the Doll is a perfect example of how a story can be blown out of proportion, and how facts can be both twisted and dragged into legend. There are clearly many inconsistencies and pieces of warped history involved in the story of Robert the Doll. There are clearly also commonly believed pieces of information which are false. My own belief from this research is that Otto used the doll as an excuse to try and get out of punishment whenever he misbehaved as a child. The doll does look somewhat creepy and unsettling, but this likely has built up the legend around people naturally taking a dislike to the doll. The natural dislike of the doll, combined with what was most likely just childish fibs to get out of trouble, could very well have led to the greater legend of Robert the Doll. A fascinating detail to have found is that the museum only seems to have displayed the doll after they learned about the rumours and stories. The doll has since become iconic, not to mention profitable. The doll is so well known that it even receives fan mail. This all indicates a clear tourism element is at play, and so money will be a driving force to this legend being interpreted as true. If it was just an old doll, then people wouldn't care anywhere near as much about it. However, if you create a whole backstory, a whole mythology, and a whole personality around the doll, suddenly the doll goes from being a dusty old item to being an internet sensation. And yeah, so that is the article. That is everything there. And there was a quick point I wanted to mention. One, building on the profitability. You've got obviously lots of merchandise. One of the apology letters wrote that they had even bought a replica of Robert the Doll from the gift shop afterwards, because they couldn't have the actual doll. So clearly they're making a lot of money from all the replicas and every single bit of merchandise with Robert's face on it, which immediately, another point, disproves the whole you can't take photos or you'll be cursed from the photos, because the museum are fine with sticking his face, which is photographed, they're comfortable with that on world-known merch, Otherwise, if there was anything to it, they would shut it down immediately, you would hope. And there was another point, but I can't remember what the point was. I'm going to quickly look back through the article because there was an interesting point I was going to make. Obviously, I won't read out the article again. Let's have a look. Was it to do with films? Was it to do with people visiting? Yes. I think it was to do with that. So, important point. Robert the Doll, the story, and the reason why I wanted to... One reason why I wanted to just try and emphasise as much as I could about the tourism angle at the end of that article was because of all the letters. So you've got so many letters coming in from all these people. Some might not be serious letters. A lot of them probably are serious letters, because you've got to bear in mind the psychological impact that Robert the Doll will have on people. And by that I mean you've got a lot of people seeing him and then getting freaked out later because they've suffered some sort of misfortune, and as a result they've done exactly what Otto did as a kid, and they've gone, oh my god, we saw that doll though, the doll, like, it causes bad luck and whatnot, we must have done something to upset the doll. And immediately people start, because people want to know reasons for things, people seek reasons. It's like the whole meaning of life philosophy type thing. People want there to be an explanation for everything, and sometimes there isn't an explanation, sometimes bad stuff just happens. But with this doll, it's a scapegoat. It's, oh, my life's only gone downhill because I saw that doll. It takes it out of your own hands and it puts it on something else to then blame, because people like doing that too. They don't like taking responsibility, they don't like just acknowledging sometimes things just happen. They need a cause, and the cause needs to not be themselves. But that means that Robert the Doll is a potentially dangerous thing, because you've got to then think about the mental health of people. Because a lot of paranormal cases do delve into mental health and, drug use, things like that. But it delves into that kind of thing. And so if you have certain people with certain mentalities or personalities going to see this doll, and then something bad happens to them, that could be too much for them. That could tip them over the edge, and things like that, because of this doll. And you see it online sometimes with people who adamantly argue the paranormal's existence, because some people get very defensive over it. Whenever if someone shares a photo of an orb and you say, "Oh no, it's not an orb, it's a bug," people will come out and they'll be very defensive and say, "Oh, you don't know that," and they'll be properly argumentative. Even if you absolutely point out, "Look, you can see legs, you can see its movement," and they'll still be adamant that that is a ghost, because they have this inherent need to believe it. The same goes for Robert the Doll, but Robert the Doll isn't the same type of thing, because where an orb photo is harmless, Robert the Doll has this alleged curse attached to it, where people will be duped into thinking that they've been cursed by a doll which is potentially and more than likely just a doll. So that's why I needed to emphasize, I think it's just tourism, because you can tell through all these letters being sent that people have really bought into the story. And like I say, some of the people might not have done it. Some might have just gone, "Oh, I'll write a letter just to be part of that," to feel part of something and just to have their letter on a wall. But other people will be genuine, and they will be genuinely terrified about this doll, and I don't think that's right. And I think it's wrong for the museum to not push more of a truthful angle, and I think it's wrong for them to profit off of the curse, as it were, because a lot of people will probably suffer further misfortune because of knowledge of the curse. So yeah, obviously I've not been to the museum, so for all I know, they could very well be like, "Oh, don't worry, the photos thing, it's fake and it's not genuine," and they could be like that, but from what I've read, I don't think that's the case, which is a shame. And yeah, and like I said, it's clear that the curse doesn't exist, because photos of him exist online. The museum are putting his photo on merchandise for you to buy. Yeah, that clearly isn't a factor. Yeah, so I hope that you've all enjoyed the read through of the article. Like I say, you can find it on the trueparanormal.blogspot.com, and I will be live streaming tomorrow from 6 o'clock. So I want to adjust the stream times a little. So on Facebook, I will stream from about 6 o'clock, and on TikTok, I'll stream from about 8 o'clock. Which will all be solidified, announced in the next Friday. So not the upcoming... Wait, what day is it today? Yeah, not in the upcoming Friday, the following week. So the end of December, that Friday. I will do a whole blog post ironing out the plans for the database going forwards, and when I'm going to be live streaming, when I'm going to do certain articles, and yeah, so that will be that one. But yeah, so I hope that you've all enjoyed. Thank you very much for listening. Sorry again that I didn't get this video out last Wednesday, and that I didn't do it as soon as I could following that Wednesday. It completely slipped my mind, because I had done the TikTok live stream. And now is the only time I've had to be able to do it. So thank you very much for watching, and thank you as well if you've watched this on YouTube. That's also very much so appreciated. So thank you very much, and good night.